Hey, Eloise here. I'm an intuitive healer based in the UK. Welcome back. This week I want to talk about decision making. Hey, Eloise here. I want to talk about decision making this week because it came up in a session this week, and clinic chats. We're talking about what comes up in clinic a lot of the time. So, one of my lovely dear clients, her session reference this. I can't remember all the details, unfortunately, but I haven't got time to go back and listen to it again. But essentially, it was talking about decision making, and so I want to talk about this because I think it's quite interesting. So I talk a lot about how we're always tuning in to the universe. It's like a safety mechanism to keep ourselves safe. We want to know what's going on in the world, so we're always kind of referencing and listening in and tuning in to the people around us, people on the side of the planet, people we've never met, people that we've been intimate with, like all kinds of people. And we don't know we're doing it. So we're tuning into thousands of people. And so when you come to make a decision, what goes on? Well, it could get quite complicated. If you're kind of clear and centered and you've done a lot of work on yourself, your body might just give you the answer. But most of us have got a little bit more interference going on. So, first of all, we've been taught that we think in our head. That that's impossible. The brain doesn't have a unique thought. In a way, it just runs the body. It's the heart brain and the gut brain that make all the decisions, really. So, therefore, if we've been wired to think up here, we're already taxing our body out and stressing it. We need to come down here. So when you make a decision, you can put your hands on your body, breathe, close your eyes if it's easier, and go, okay, what feels light to my body? And think that way. Now, add in the layer that we're always kind of tuning into all these other people. Do they interfere with our decision making? I think so, because like, if we're referencing what's going on in the universe to make sense and feel safe, we will, through our subtle senses, be picking up all of this information about what's going on in the world. And then when we come to make a decision, it's like, okay, is it safe for me based on all this information I'm getting? So it can get skewed and distorted, not just by all the normal natural layers. And if you've watched my videos for a while, you'll probably have heard me talk about some of that, because the mind is constantly trying to keep us safe. So anything that changes things could be unsafe. So the brain, the wiring is to keep us in the same pattern that we're in now. Now, whether that's being homeless, having no money, like it could be really awful things or perceived awful. Like we might be really uncomfortable and not enjoying our lives, but that's safe to the mind and the body because that is known. So we've got all of that going on. So we're naturally going to come to conclusions and thoughts and decisions based on keeping ourselves safe. And part of that safety is going to be referencing everybody else. Now, add in that as a kid, you're hardwired to please your parents. Practical thing. It's very good to follow your parents, children, when you're young, because you don't know how the world works and you need people to keep you safe. But as we evolve and we're older, our lives are not the same as our parents. We live in different culture, we live in different financial times, we have completely different ways of working. I mean, my parents never had the option of having an internet business and advertising on the internet when they ran their business when I was a kid. Like, it's completely different. So we live in a completely different world. So the decisions and the model of the world that my parents have, yeah, I mean it's evolved, but they're they're different now. But the world's completely different. So my needs and my wiring and what's available to me in the world is something that they never had to navigate. So their beliefs on the world might not serve and support me as an adult in my body. And yet, we're going to still reference what they would do and what they would think and they would say to us about stuff in decision making. And you may do that about other caregivers or people that were important to you as a child. So, I'm getting exhausted talking about this. So, not only when you come to making a decision is your brain and your wiring trying to keep you in the same situation, so it will tell you things are stupid and you can't do that and all the rest of it. You've then got the going out into the subtle senses and picking up all this information about the world and making your decisions based on what everyone else is thinking. Again, might not serve you and maybe a load of rubbish. And then you've got referencing what your parents would think and other caregivers. So, like, it's really difficult to make clean decisions because there's a lot of interference, and I'm only touching the tip of the iceberg here. So there's all this information coming in through the subtle senses, which is being absorbed in, and we're making sense of the world through that information. So not just our physical senses, which is really your brain seeing the world and hearing the world and everything. It's just data to the brain. We've got the subtle senses that are adding in all this other data and the way we're wired. I mean, it's a miracle that we all stay alive for so long with all this complicatedness, but we do. So, like, when you need to make a decision, and it's an important one, I mean, there's loads of things you can do, but the simplest thing is just to come to the body, take a few breaths, and ask what's the light of your body. Set up a mechanism. You could do muscle testing. You could do like seeing which way your body sways. You could just see what feels light or heavy in your body, just using these different tools. I always love the one of imagining putting stones on my hands. And I'm like, okay, if I do this one, that it's that hand. If I do that one, that's hand. And then I'd set up how I want to feel it. So if it's lighter, maybe it's the one. If it's heavier, it's a no, it's a yes, if it's like, and then kind of just tune into those two different options, because sometimes that's the easiest way of making a decision is to weigh up the options. It's like, do I have toast for breakfast or do I have oatmeal? Is it porridge day or is it toast day? And it's coming to that moment and that judgment from the body. It's like, okay, let's make this decision for what is for my highest good. And given my circumstances, my wiring, my body, what are my choices in this moment? What would be the optimal for me? Regardless of what everyone else thinks, regardless of what my parents would eat for breakfast, regardless of what the universe thinks about breakfast, like it's like my body's hungry. I want to eat. What body would what would nourish you the most? It's coming to the body and helping it to make decisions. And if we test things out and we practice listening to the body through making these little choices of what to have for breakfast, as an example, if we work that muscle, it gets easier to get these kind of yes, no decisions from the body as we evolve with this. Like, if you come to your body to make a really difficult decision and you've never done this before, you're not going to know how to interpret it. You've got to set up the communication. You've got to practice. So practicing with little things makes it easier for the big decisions. So have a play with that. And just know that, most of what you're thinking, most of what you're feeling, most of what, all this information that's coming in, you make sense of it by experiencing it, but it's not actually yours. A lot of the information we're taking on, and therefore, because we're hearing it, feeling it, touching, tasting, and smelling it, we think it's our experience. It's not. It's just data from the environment around us. So if you start making decisions based on that data, you're not really coming to you and your life and your body. So that's where we need to kind of come inwards to make those decisions. It's great to get all the information, and sometimes you want to go and discuss things with people, get people's viewpoints, but you've got to come to what's right for you at the end of the day. So Hope this gave you some thoughts. Pop some questions in the comments, or if there's anything else you want me to talk about, please just ask. Have a great week. Practice making little decisions with your body so that you can work up to those bigger ones. Okay, have a great day. Bye.